So hello and welcome to Fuel Mixologist, and this is going to be the conclusion of the series for the Dellorto DRLAs. If you've seen my other videos in the channel, you will see that this is probably one of the earlier carbs that I've done, although at the time I did it, we didn't have this lever, which is the correct Dellorto lever, which is nearly unobtainable, but I did have one kind of lying around in a box, so I put this lever because initially what I wanted to do is I wanted to create kind of a pair of carbs, so therefore I needed the lever on this one as well to be set up right so that you could do it. Also, the other thing is that I generally on these carbs tend to put this hex idle mixture screws, which are slightly more expensive than the normal ones. But then, kind of these carbs have, whilst they have slight differences to them, so this one hasn't got the vacuum ports here. As you can see, the fuel inlet is slightly different. So how do you tell a pair? Because you've got the 40D, which is destra, and FS, which is sinistra. Now, so it's right and left hand side in Italian. So now the reason why I'm not selling them as a pair is because there are some very tiny little differences, and clearly these cars weren't kind of consecutively matched a pair when they come out of the factory. However, what I have done though is by using this little manual, it has a very handy chart at the back about how to calibrate these carbs and what's the sort of calibration you're looking at. Now this is very important because sometimes when you get carbs, it's very difficult to say whether the setting the carbs came with is any good. So the thing that I do is I go into a manual and I copy the factory configuration for one of these carbs. Yeah, so these carbs have 180 main airs. They have 0.2 emulsion emulsion choke, 135 jets. It's got 52 idles. It's got a 33 pump on the discharge, and they both have 5 progression holes. So whilst they are not a consecutively matched pair, they have been set up on exactly the same setup as the factory. Now, why do I do this? The reason for this is that whilst I cannot guarantee that the factory setup is going to be absolutely 100% bang on for every single color you can put it, unless you put it on an alpha suit, in which case it will be, because it's the factory setting for an alpha suit, this particular one. But the factory setup is a really good starter for 10. So if you don't know exactly what a car is going to look like, or what sort of jets it's going to need, you're always you're better off starting with the factory configuration. And the way you do it is you look at first to the choke size. So I looked at these, both have 32 chokes. So what I did is I went into the manual, into the table, found 32 found the 32 chokes, and then I copied whatever the factory setting was. And again, if you put it on a different car, if you put it on a Fiat or any other car, they might be slightly different, but it should be at the very least 90% of the way there. And again, whilst these carbs are not a consecutively matched pair, and I'm selling them separate, because everything else in the configuration, so the choke, the main jet, main air, the emulsion tube, the idle, the pump discharge, everything else has been equalized, then these things should work together very well. Not exactly probably as carbs that have been consecutively numbered, but it should be good enough because all of the calibration bits are the same. So this brings us to an end for this Dellorto video, and I've got tons of projects that I need to be working on, so I'll see you on the next video.